just move away from that, from Tariq for a moment and bring you some breaking news, because we are hearing that the Israeli military is saying that 3 drones were launched from Lebanon earlier this hour. One projectile hit a building in the northern city of Caesarea, and that is where Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has a residence. 2 other drones were intercepted by the military. The spokesman for the Israeli military is also saying that Netanyahu was not in the home at the time of the attack, and there are no casualties reportedly. But we also know that air raid sirens sounded right across northern Israel and in Tel Aviv when one of the drones that was sent over by Hezbollah from Lebanon hit the residence of the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who was, again, not at home at the time of that attack. Let's bring in Noor Odeh. Noor is joining us from the Jordanian capital, Amman. That's because the Israeli government has banned Al Jazeera from reporting in the occupied West Bank and from inside Israel. Noor, before I come to you, I'll just tell our viewers that we're looking at the latest pictures from Caesarea, where that drone targeted the residence of the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, one of his residences, in fact. So let's bring in Noor. Over to you, Noor. What are you hearing about this drone that was launched from Lebanon? And tell us about this area in Israel.
So for the past hour, we've been monitoring reports that there was this drone attack. We've seen videos posted by residents in that area, and we've also seen how the Israeli military censor imposed very tight restrictions on Israeli media. They sealed off the area. There were suspicions, and people were saying that this was the area where the residence of the Israeli Prime Minister is. But of course, because of legal restrictions, the Israeli media couldn't confirm it. Now we have confirmation from Netanyahu's office that they were not at the home at the time of the attack, but that the house was actually struck in that drone attack. Of course, no sirens had gone off in Caesarea, Dareen. This is an area where business people and politicians live. It's an area where a lot of power is concentrated, but also a lot of strategic assets, namely military bases around Caesarea, or in that area there are gas refineries as well. And we've seen sirens go off in neighboring areas. We also saw sirens going off in Haifa. And this is a tactic that Hezbollah has used in the past, firing rockets while at the same time firing drones to different targets, in effect evading any kind of detection. There were even helicopters in the air, as we could see from the videos, but they couldn't intercept all the drones.
Noor, I mean, how significant would you say this is? Because the fact that they were able to fly all that distance, intercept the skies, and actually hit one of the Prime Minister's residences.
It's really quite significant. And what we've seen over the past few weeks of escalation with Lebanon is this exchange of messages by fire, where Hezbollah etches closer, deeper into Israeli territory, targets areas not necessarily causing casualties, but signaling to Israel that we can reach these targets. These are strategic assets that we can reach without you detecting them. So whether it was Benyamina, the military base there, and it was a mass casualty event as far as Israelis were concerned, or now the residence of the Israeli Prime Minister and strategic bases in the area like Glilot military base, where there are intelligence assets in that military base. So those signals sent from Hezbollah also coincide with statements being issued that they would be escalating, that they would be, quote, hurting the enemy. Of course, Israel is also at the same time claiming that it has significantly degraded Hezbollah capabilities and that Hezbollah wouldn't be able to hurt the Israeli public. But what we've seen is that more Israelis are going into the shelters. More Israelis are affected. It's not, the confrontation is not limited to the northern towns in Israel anymore. This is deeper in the heartland, if you will, and now very, very close to the home of the seat of power in a very symbolic way, if you will. So this is a new phase, if we can call it that. It is certainly a noteworthy development to see that signal from Hezbollah that this is as far as deep as we can reach, coinciding, of course, with all those airstrikes that we've seen, including on Jounieh in Lebanon.
Yeah, and Noor, Israeli media is reporting that this is the third incident in about a week in which a drone has crossed over from Lebanon and it's managed to reach deep inside Israel. You were talking about people in Israel having to go to shelters recently. I mean, how do we expect the Israeli public to be viewing this?
This is a very disruptive thing for the Israeli public. Northern communities have been, for the most part, vacated. Residents left those areas, left those towns a long time ago. Kiryat Shmone, which has been severely affected by the fighting, only had about 2,000 residents left a week ago, and it is expected that many of them have left that area. But now we're talking about the center, or closer to the center, to the larger Tel Aviv area, where a very large portion of the Israeli population lives. So to have them go into shelters or stay close to shelters is not just disruptive more, in terms of morale, but it will also be disruptive to the flow of business, to daily life. And that could create a lot of pressure on the Israeli government. That, remember, they promised that they were launching this offensive against Lebanon, against Hezbollah, in order to bring the residents of northern Israel back to home, back to normalcy, back to safety. At this point, the confrontation with Hezbollah is proving, at least for the moment, counterproductive. So there would be fallout. This is a Saturday, of course. It's a holiday in Israel. It's also a religious holiday. So we won't see a lot of op-eds, possibly not a lot of commentary, but certainly on Sunday, when people return to work, one would expect that the commentary in Israeli media, those who are close to the military and security establishments, will have a lot of questions to the Israeli Prime Minister, whose office took more than an hour to confirm the whereabouts of Netanyahu after that drone attack, after residents kind of broke the seal of the military censorship and, published those images that we're now seeing.
Okay, Noor, thank you so much. Noor Odeh, reporting from Amman.